I used to think my marriage was solid, stable, if not thrilling. My husband, Omar, is a dedicated man. Hardworking, responsible, always doing what needed to be done to keep our lives comfortable. His job at the logistics firm demanded long hours, and though I missed him, I never complained. I understood. At least, I told myself I did. Our home was quiet most days, just the soft ticking of the clock and the hum of appliances filling the silence. I spent my time managing the household, dabbling in freelance work, and trying to ignore the growing emptiness that clung to the walls like dust I couldn't quite sweep away. Then came Tariq, Omar's younger brother. He had just moved back to town after a messy breakup and needed a place to land. Omar, ever the dutiful brother, offered our guest room without hesitation. "He's family," Omar had said, giving my shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "He won't be any trouble." First, he wasn't. Tariq was charming in a way that felt effortless. He'd always been the more outgoing sibling. Where Omar was stoic and reserved, Tariq was laughter, energy, and quick wit. He filled the silence of the house in ways I hadn't realized I craved. He'd help out with groceries, offer to cook dinner, and linger in the kitchen while I worked, swapping stories that made me laugh more than I had in weeks. Felt harmless, comforting even, a breath of fresh air in a life that had started to feel suffocating. Still, there were moments, small, almost imperceptible shifts in tone or glance. Like the time he told me, "You deserve more attention than Omar gives you." He'd said it with a grin, almost teasing, but his eyes had lingered a second too long. I brushed it off. I had to. It was probably nothing, just Tariq being Tariq. But something inside me stirred. A flicker of attention I didn't want to admit I enjoyed. I told myself it was just the novelty of someone noticing me, seeing me, not just as a wife holding the fort, but as a woman. Then Omar asked me to keep an eye on Tariq while he was away on a week-long business trip. "He's been a bit off since the breakup," Omar said, concern knitting his brow. "Just make sure he's okay, yeah?" I nodded, masking the unease rising in my chest. I didn't have the words for it yet, but I sensed a shift. Something about to unfold. Something I wasn't sure I was ready for. As Omar packed his suitcase that night, I stood in the doorway watching him, wondering how we got here. So distant, so distracted. I told myself everything was fine. In the wake of Omar's departure, the house grew quiet yet strangely charged, as if each corner held a secret waiting to be revealed. Tariq's presence, once merely a benign family guest, began to take on a more intricate hue with each passing day. Initially, his visits were sporadic and unassuming, but soon he arrived each morning with a gentle knock and a warm, lingering smile that seemed to say he cared more than he should. I found myself both comforted and unnerved by the subtle intensity in his gaze, a silent invitation to a conversation deeper than small talk. At first, I rationalized his extra attention as nothing more than kindness. He helped with minor repairs, prepared a fresh pot of coffee, and even shared stories that brightened the long hours of solitude. His laughter filled the empty rooms, momentarily dispelling the loneliness that had crept into my life. Yet beneath that congenial exterior, there was an undercurrent of something unspoken. Every compliment he offered and every lingering glance slowly eroded the boundaries I had carefully maintained. One dreary afternoon, when rain drummed softly on our windows, Tariq and I found ourselves alone in the living room. The soft light cast shadows that danced around us as he spoke with an earnestness that left little room for pretense. "You deserve to be cherished," he said quietly, his tone gentle yet charged with emotion. His words struck me like a spark in the darkness, a moment of warmth that both comforted and alarmed me. I felt a rush of validation, a reminder that I was seen and valued, even if only for a fleeting instant. In the days that followed, our interactions grew more intimate. A light touch on my arm as he passed by, a shared smile over an inside joke, and a look that lingered long after our conversation had ended. All these small gestures accumulated into an emotional closeness that I had not anticipated. Each encounter left me in a state of inner conflict. Excitement battled with guilt, as I tried to convince myself that these moments were merely harmless escapes from a monotonous reality. Yet, the intensity of my response betrayed me, hinting at a vulnerability I had long concealed. By the time the week had unfolded, it became painfully clear that nothing would ever be the same. The once innocuous exchanges had transformed into an undercurrent of desire and confusion. I stood at a precipice, torn between the security of a familiar life and the dangerous allure of uncharted emotions. As I watched the rain streak down the window, I knew that the path ahead would force me to confront the deepest parts of my heart, a confrontation that promised to redefine everything I once held dear.
After Jake and Liam left, the house felt colder, emptier somehow, as if their visit had sucked the air from the walls. I sat at the edge of the bed, the towels still clinging to my skin, mind racing. Liam's eyes had spoken volumes. He knew something about Alex. And whatever it was serious enough to risk sneaking into our bedroom under false pretenses. I got dressed slowly, mechanically, my thoughts circling like vultures. Why did Liam have Alex's phone? And what was he making sure was gone? Texts? Photos? Evidence? I needed answers, and I knew exactly where to start. Alex's home office was rarely used for anything other than scattered paperwork and the occasional laptop session. But that morning I tore through drawers, scanned his email on the family computer, and checked our shared cloud storage. At first, nothing. But then, tucked into an unmarked folder, I found a series of screenshots, texts, photos, names, and one name repeated more than any other: Emily. Emily was Alex's coworker, the one he'd always insisted was just a friend. The same Emily he said laughed too loudly, the one he joked about being annoying and not his type. Yet here they were, hundreds of messages, some time-stamped during the hours he claimed to be working late, some sent while I lay asleep beside him. The messages weren't just casual flirtation. They were personal, intimate. They spoke of feelings, of stolen moments, of plans to tell me the truth soon. My hands trembled as I clicked through them, each one slicing deeper than the last. I wasn't imagining the distance. I wasn't paranoid. I was being replaced. And suddenly Liam's visit made sense. He hadn't been there to help Jake. He'd been there to bury the evidence, to protect Alex, or maybe protect me. Either way, he'd failed. My phone buzzed. A message from Liam. Can we talk? Alone. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Did he know I'd found the truth? Was he going to try to spin it? Or did he, too, feel caught in a web he didn't want to be part of? I texted back one word. When? Tonight. I'll come by. I set the phone down, the screen fading to black, mirroring the numbness settling over me. Tonight, I'd hear what Liam had to say. Tonight, I'd confront the truth head-on, and after that, there would be no turning back. Nightfall arrived like a storm cloud, heavy and suffocating. The living room was dimly lit, a single lamp casting long shadows on the walls. I sat on the couch, staring at the front door, waiting. Every tick of the clock sounded louder than the last. At exactly 8, there was a knock. Liam stepped inside, his expression guarded but earnest. He looked different, no longer calm and composed, but tense, conflicted. He didn't speak right away. He didn't need to. The weight of unspoken truths filled the room. I know, I said quietly, standing. About Emily. About the messages. About Alex. Liam exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I tried to stop him. That's why I came earlier. I thought if I could delete the evidence before you saw it, I could protect you. I narrowed my eyes. Protect me? Or protect him? Silence. I never wanted to be part of this, Liam said finally, his voice low. Alex, he confided in me months ago. At first, it was just venting. Then it turned into excuses. And then, it was happening. He swore it was temporary, that he'd come clean. But he never did. My stomach tightened, a mix of anger and disbelief churning inside me. So you covered for him. Lied for him. I didn't lie. I stayed quiet. I told him he was making a mistake. That you didn't deserve it. He paused, eyes meeting mine. But I should have said more. Done more. I looked at him, the pain fresh, sharp. Why come now? Liam hesitated. Because it's over. Emily ended it. Alex is spiraling. He doesn't know what to do, and I couldn't watch you get blindsided. He took a step closer, his voice softening. You deserve the truth. All of it. I swallowed hard. The betrayal stung, but behind the fury was a strange clarity. I had spent weeks doubting myself, questioning reality. And now, finally, everything made sense. You thought I needed protection, I said quietly. But what I needed was honesty. Liam nodded, regret etched into every line of his face. I'm sorry. Truly. I nodded, emotion tightening my throat. Now I know. Liam reached for the door, pausing before leaving. If you need anything, if he gives you trouble, call me. I mean it. He stepped out into the night, the door closing with a soft click. I stood alone in the silence, no longer confused, no longer in the dark. Alex's betrayal had broken something, but it hadn't broken me, and in that stillness, I made a vow, not to forget, not to forgive blindly, but to move forward, on my own terms.